All right. Um, Good evening, Mr. Akorede. It's good to have you today, this evening. This is second edition of our live sessions for those who want to transition into Web3 development. We started Valley Cup of Africa as a way to help young Africans who want to start their career in Web3 development. We know that there are already communities like this out there, already communities like this out there. So, but then we still there's still a lot of persons who needs to come on board the Web3 train and be impacted by the loads of value available. And we need much more builders in Africa from in the Web3 space. So it's a delight to have you this evening to share with us how to become a Web3 developer. This is something that you yourself have experienced, you've gone through. You'll be sharing with us the challenges, how to overcome these challenges, how to beat those fears. Because trust me, even myself, several years ago, I wanted to get into web development, but I I shied away from it. I just let me just stay in my writing area. And sometimes I wish I did. Yeah, sometimes I wish I did. Because the way everybody's like building stuff, it feels so. I know it's a tough it's a tough career, but then it looks so interesting to be able to like build out stuff and so somebody's using what you built. So I'm going to give you the floor to you, Mr. Corridor, so you can introduce yourself to us. Tell us about yourself, how you started your journey, how you got here, and how other people can become Web2 developers too. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm happy to be here, really, and I hope, hopefully, after this session, you would also want to join and become a Web3 developer. So, yeah. So, my name is Aboaba Akorede. Like, I'm a Web3 developer, and I have a couple years of experience writing, debugging, and debugging Ethereum smart contracts. I also build front-end applications that interact with EVM-based blockchains using JavaScript, React, and Ethers.js. I currently work at Shopify, which is a decentralized e-commerce platform powered by blockchain technology. And yeah, I'm a big fan of hackathons. I try to go for as much tech events as I can, even though I think I could still go to more. So yeah, that's basically me. So today, let me share my screen. Today I'll be going through how to become a Web3 developer, common mistakes newbie developers make, and how to overcome programming anxiety. So yeah, so stay tuned. I hope you all get to enjoy this session, and we all get to gain something very important from this. So yes. So yeah.
Okay.
So let's start
Thank
with.
you. You can okay, go ahead, sorry. Let me interrupt you because me, I've meant to let it too.
No, if you have questions, come on. Say it.
No, it's fine. I'm like, you can proceed. You can proceed. Any other thing will come at the end of your presentation.
Okay, cool. No problem. So yeah, how to become a Web3 developer. So yeah, this is my introduction, and yeah. So what is Web3? So before we start Web3 development, we need to talk about Web3. So Web3 refers to the third generation of the internet, characterized by decentralized and blockchain-based technology. It signifies a shift rather from the traditional centralized Web 1.0, which is basically the internet as we see it, regular websites that you go through on Google, then user generated content era, which is the social media era where you see social sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, to a decentralized and trust-based internet. So Web3 leverages blockchain and cryptographic principle to enable decentralized application, which are called dApps. dApps dApps, yeah, smart contracts, peer-to-peer interactions, enhancing transparency, security, and user control. These are all the benefits that Web3 offers compared to the standard internet standard internet era of web applications. So Web3 development. But importance of Web3 development in blockchain and decentralized space. So yeah, Web3 development is of paramount importance in blockchain and decentralized space due to its role in promoting decentralization, trust, and security. It empowers users with ownership and control over digital assets. It fosters innovation and economic opportunities and ensures global access to digital services. Web3 promotes transparency, accountability, collaboration between developers, thereby transforming traditional systems and enabling a more secure, democratic, and inclusive digital environment. So, how is Web3 different from traditional web development? So, yeah, we have when we mostly talk about things built on a blockchain, we mostly talk about the word decentralization. What that means the decentralization in comparison to centralization. So when things are built on blockchains, they are called decentralized because blockchains are use the decentralized mode of operation. What that means is this: a blockchain is made up of different nodes. A blockchain is basically a network of nodes that all talk together. Each node having keeping record of all the transactions that happen on the blockchain. So whenever if any nodes for say experiences a downtime, there are other nodes that have all the up to date records of the transaction on the blockchain, which makes things harder to be which it provides one of the major security pillars of blockchain and also makes things harder to be controlled and to be censored. So decentralization versus centralization. Web development. Traditional web development is centralized around creating application and services hosted on centralized servers. These services are typically controlled and maintained by a central authority or organization. So that is, for example, I can say maybe Google is a centralized Google or more even Meta. Meta in the sense like Meta is Facebook and Instagram. If you have anything, if you post things on Facebook, they can be easily taken down because there's one server or one central authority that controls all the servers. Unlike in a decentralized environment where everything is decentralized, you can't easily take down information because the information is split between nodes that are spread around all over the world. So yeah, Web3 development focuses on creating decentralized applications that run on a blockchain or decentralized network. Data and logic in Web3 are distributed across a network of nodes, reducing reliance on centralized authorities. Another difference is data handling and ownership. With your traditional web development, user data and assets are typically stored on centralized servers controlled by the service provider. Users often have limited control and ownership of their data. And with Web3 development, in Web3 applications, data is often stored on decentralized, immutable blockchains. Users have greater ownership and control of their digital assets and personal information. So basically, what that means is like going back to social media and saying your data on your social media sites like Facebook and Instagram, it's all collected by a central authority and is controlled by that central authority. You don't have ownership of all the things you post on Insta, all the pictures you post on Instagram or all the posts you make on Facebook. You don't have ownership of those posts. Facebook has ownership of that. Which is in contrast to Web3, where your data on the Web3 is stored on decentralized network. It is your own to control. Basically, if you own your wallet address, you own it and you have access to those private keys of those wallet address. You are the only one that has access. That means you are the only one that has access to that information. You are the owner of your own information. So that's the difference. So interaction and trust. Web development. Traditional web interaction often rely on trust in centralized entities like banks, social media platforms. Transaction and data access depend on intermediaries, which means when you make transaction, you don't necessarily do it through bank. You end up using other services to perform those transactions for you. So, and with Web3 development, the interactions are trustless, meaning they rely on cryptographic principles and smart contracts to ensure transparency and security without the need of intermediaries. Trust is established through consensus mechanism. So what that means is when you make transactions between you and the person that ends up having to receive the transaction, not without needing any intermediaries. So far you have the person's wallet address, you can make you can send tokens to the person, you can make transactions to the person's wallet without needing any third party. So yeah. And another difference is with smart contracts and automation. Web development traditional web application often involved manual processes and intermediaries for tasks like contract execution, payment processing, and identity verification. But with Web3 development, because Web3 leverages smart contracts, which are self-executing code deployed on the blockchain, smart contracts automate processes and agreements, making them more efficient and secure. So yeah, another other differences between Web3 and traditional web development is your monetization and your incentives. With traditional web development, monetization typically involves advertising, subscriptions, or centralized payment systems. Web3 introduces new monetization models such as cryptocurrency-based microtransactions and and token economies. Users can directly benefit from their participation in dApps through tokens. So, sorry, going back up. Says another difference is censorship resistance. Web development, traditional web content can be subject to censorship and takedown by central authorities. And with Web3 development, Web3 applications are more resistant to censorship as data and content are stored on decentralized network, making it challenging to remove or control information. So what this means, like I stated earlier, with Facebook, when you make posts on Facebook and make posts on Instagram, you don't necessarily own those posts. They are owned by Meta. So if Meta sees some reason one day to take down your post, you have no right to complain because it's their platform. They can do whatever they want with their platform. But with Web3, and because things are deployed to blockchains, and the varying nodes that are required to handle those blockchains. You can't easily take down information because information is split among nodes. So imagine if trying to take down information will be, you have to basically take down information on every single node that is on that blockchain, which is it's not a simple task for you to do. It's almost impossible, but we can. It's not entirely impossible, but it's quite difficult to do compared to regular web development. So, global access and inclusivity. Traditional web service can be geographically restricted or limited to those with certain financial instruments, which compared to Web3 development, where services are often accessible globally and can be more inclusive, allowing individuals with internet access to participate regardless of their location or financial status. So what this means is there's less restriction with Web3 based apps. So far as you have your wallet, you are basically allowed to make transactions and interact with dApps, with whatever dApps, unless those dApps are maybe whitelisted or locked. You will basically most times you as a Web3 user you usually have access to most applications that you need, unlike regular or like traditional web services where you can be in Nigeria today and people can have content restricted that will not appear in Nigeria, which means let's say like for example now I'm a fan of F1. It's not every time F1 is streamed that you have access in Nigeria because of due to content blocking up and the likes. But with Web3, content is more evenly distributed around the world. There's hardly ever any distraction. Hardly ever any restrictions. So yeah, those are some of the differences between traditional and Web3 development. So moving on, we have common mistakes newbie developers make. So the first one is a lack of web development fundamentals. So for you to become a Web3 developer, you must first become a web developer. So what that means is this: for you to become a Web3 developer, you must originally have passed through like the regular HTML and CSS. You must know JavaScript. You must know how to build you must understand the fundamentals of building websites before you can make Web3 dApps. Because most of the time it's practically the same. It's just that the let's say a main difference can be instead of deploying like your websites to servers, you are basically deploying them to a blockchain. But basically the front end still remains the same. So you still need to know how to code in HTML, CSS. You still need to know JavaScript and all other front end packages that are needed. So before you can become a Web3 developer, start by being a web developer. Go through the go through the stages of being a web developer. Then after you're done with that, when you're comfortable being going through HTML, CSS, you're good with JavaScript, you have gone through all those courses, then you can now move to Web3 development where you have the smart contract development and front end interactions with your deploying smart contracts and using your front end to interact with those smart contracts. So another so that's one. So another mistake is lack of blockchain fundamentals. Failing to grasp the fundamental principles of blockchain technology, such as your consensus mechanisms, cryptography, decentralization, can lead to errors and misconceptions in development. So when you've gone through the process of being a web developer, you need to now go through the process of being a Web3 developer. It means going through the blockchain fundamentals. You need to know how a blockchain works before you can start building things on the blockchain. You need to understand the principles behind it, the differences compared to the regular traditional web development. Like let's say differences between a regular server and a blockchain, what it entails, and understanding how crypto wallets work, understanding how crypto wallets work, understanding how people interact with blockchain and the likes. So yeah, another mistake is over ambitious projects. Attempting to create complex decentralized application without first gaining experience in simpler projects can overwhelm newcomers and result in frustration. So yeah, not starting small. Basically, you need to start small. You can't start Web3 development today and say you want to build something that will replace Facebook or you want to build something that will replace Instagram. It doesn't work that way. You need to start small. Learn the differences between traditional web development and Web3 development. Know the limitations of the blockchain, know the benefits of building on the blockchain, know how to implement those tactics. Basically, some simple projects you can start with is maybe starting with tokens and how to interact with tokens on the blockchain. Then from there, start building upon that. Maybe going next to NFT marketplaces, maybe DeFi, before you can now go like to more complex projects where you might end up working with multiple people to end up finishing up the project. But do not start big and think that okay you can just come today and build the most advanced the most advanced projects, and you are still a newbie, it doesn't work that way. You need to put in the work to learn and understand how things work in blockchain technology. So yeah, another mistake is ignoring security. So neglecting security best practices when coding smart contracts or dApps can lead to vulnerabilities and potentially results in financial losses. So most times when we are building on the blockchain, it has to do with money. Blockchain, if you want to make transactions on the blockchain, you need to pay gas. So you're making most times always interacting with money. You need to make sure your smart contracts are security tight. You need to follow best practices when building smart contracts. You need to know what to do, which modifiers to use, and the best practices to follow. Even though you also need to, if the project is quite a complex project, you can also get people to review your code or submit your code for audit, just so you can be safe, your users can be safe from security hacks which can result in them losing their money. So we need to be more it's when building with Web3, we need to consider security very, very deeply, because and another thing is Web3 is still relatively new, so we are still people a bunch of people are still figuring out things, maybe weaknesses and strengths. So it's always good to reach out to the community, talk to people, get people to audit your code before launching it in the real environment to prevent security dangers to your users. So yeah, other common mistakes are poor planning and documentation. Not having a clear project plan or failing to document code can make it difficult to track progress and collaborate effectively with others. You always have to try and document your code. Make it easy, because most times you might be the one to start the project, but you might not end up being the one to finish it, or the amount of people that started it may not be the same amount of people that end up finishing up the project. So you need to document your code, have a clear plan down, so you won't so when issues come, you won't need to divert too much, or you will know how to handle those issues with your plan. So you need to plan and document, so anytime whenever you're coming back to your code, you can see, okay, yes, through the documentation, you can see, okay, this is how the code is supposed to react, this is how the code is supposed to perform, and you can make security choices based on that. So impatience. New developers often expect quick results and can become discouraged when facing challenges or bugs. Patience is crucial in the world of Web3 development. So yeah, you need to be patient. You can't bugs are one of the things that can make or break a programmer, because we all go through, believe it or not, we all go through bugs. There's always bugs, whether small, whether large. There are always bugs here and there, and you, as a developer, you always find bugs in your code. So taking your time to go through the bugs, finding out the causes of the bugs, and being patient with them. Most times, for example, when me I code, when I go through issues with my code, sometimes it can take me 3 days. Most times, to be honest, it can be an average of 3 days to solve my bugs. But I won't say, oh my god, because it's taking me 3 days, I'll give up, or I'll be impatient. I take my time, trying to think of ways to solve those bugs. Talk to people, people that are more superior to me, and ask them, okay, I'm experiencing this and this. How will I fix this? And they can get back to me. You can also ask AI, post your error messages in AI with AI, and look for look for ways to solve those. But most importantly, you need to be patient. If you are patient, you can solve all issues basically. So another mistake is not seeking guidance. Failing to seek guidance from more experienced developers or not participating in Web3 communities can slow down the learning process and result in missed opportunities for growth. So yeah, like I said earlier, you need to be in a as a newbie developer, you need to be in a community where there are more experienced developers. Basically, you need to have people around you that are far more experienced than you, so you can so whenever you have issues, they can guide you and put you through. And also, you need to keep mingling with people, because by the time when you meet new developers and when you see their code, you often learn new things that you might not have thought of before. And basically, when meeting around, meeting seeking guidance from people is always very interesting. It can help you shorten your the amount of time you can spend on bugs. It can make your project faster. It can help you solve problems easily. So you never want it as a programmer. You never want to be an island. You always want to be in a community where you can easily ask for help and be able to receive that help. So it will make development easy for you and faster. So another mistake is lack of version control. Not using version control systems like Git to manage code changes and collaborate with others can lead to code conflicts and difficulties in tracking changes over time. So I use GitHub, which is what I use whenever I have projects or whenever I need to collaborate with other developers on projects. So we use GitHub to for GitHub as a major version control system, which helps us keep track of all the code changes. It helps us keep track of whenever we make breaking changes, so we can also always go back to previous comments where we c- where we didn't have those particular issues. So learning how to use Git and version control is very important, not just as a Web3 developer but also as a web developer. You need to know how to use Git. It will, is it's very important. I won't just say it is important, but it is necessary that you know how to use version control. Yes, because every programmer that is worth their salt uses a version control system. So you need to use that also. And another mistake is failure to embrace updates. Web3 technologies evolve rapidly. Not staying updated with latest developments and updates in the field can result in outdated knowledge. So yes, Web3 development can result in issues. You need to always stay up to date with the packages that you use, because packages are always changing. There are people the people that program those packages are always trying to fix issues and always trying to make their packages better. So no matter what, the package that you use at the beginning of the year, most times is always different at the end of the year, because the developers will have made changes to make their code better and changes to make their products run faster. So you always need to be up to date with it. You always need to learn new things. I always need to stay in the loop. Because if you stay in the loop, or if you don't stay in the loop, what ends up happening is you end up being left behind. And you find it hard to keep up. So you always need to be around, be in your community and always keep practicing. So as you keep practicing, you keep learning new things, and as you keep learning new things, you end up staying in the loop where you always be updated with the latest developments that are happening. So yeah, so those are the common mistakes, some of the common mistakes that newbie developers make. So how to overcome programming anxiety? So programming anxiety is something that every programmer goes through, no matter what level you are, whether you're a newbie, whether you're an expert. We all go through anxiety, and it's not. It can really be a make or break moment for a programmer, because it is programming is hard without even saying without going going far with it. Programming is hard. It's something that we all know. Every programmer knows it's hard. So you need to always know how to handle issues, how to be. That's why it's always important to be in a community where people can also talk to you and you can also guide people too. So whenever you are going through issues, you have somebody to talk to. Whenever you're having difficulties, you have somebody to talk to. So you can easily address those difficulties and it can help out with your anxiety. So number one way of overcoming programming anxiety is acknowledge imposter syndrome. Understand that feeling like an imposter is common, especially in the tech field. Realize that nobody knows everything and it's okay to ask questions and seek help when needed. Like I said earlier, no programmer is an island. You always need to find somebody, you always need to relate with people, you always need to talk to people, you always need to be among people, other programmers that are like minded by you, so you can all flourish and cherish together. So, yeah, imposter syndrome happens to everyone. You need to understand that it is common and you need to relax whenever you feel unsure about yourself. You need to just relax and find it's not every time that it's not easy. Basically, that's programming is not easy. So you need to find a way to relax, and talk to people and release people will help you with imposter syndrome. And yeah, number two is cultivate a growth mindset. You need to embrace the idea that your skills can improve with effort and practice. You need to challenges as opportunities to learn rather than as failures. So we need to, as a programmer, you're always learning new things. You're always observing new things. So you need to embrace it that you will. The more you practice, the more your skills improve. If you are having difficulties learning new packages, what that means is it's just that you need to practice. You need to get more familiar with the packages that you use. So like I said, cultivate a growth mindset and embrace the idea that your skills can improve with effort. So, and number three method is break tasks into smaller steps. Large coding projects can be overwhelming. You need to divide them into smaller manageable tasks and focus on completing one at a time. So, and always remember to celebrate each achievement. What happens when you do this is you end up making far more difficult tasks that might take multiple people to do. You can end up splitting it into simpler tasks and then attacking those tasks one by one. And what you realize, and as you tackle those tasks and celebrate each achievement, you make things more interesting for yourself. You become more excited to tackle more tasks, and you become more excited to keep going in the project. So make things smaller for yourself. May always try to make things easier for yourself when you are coding. So yeah. Another method is plan and set goals. Develop a clear plan for your coding project. Set specific achievable goals and guide your work. Having a roadmap reduces uncertainty and anxiety. That is, when you write down a plan and you set your goals, you write down a plan for your project. We've walked through that plan. If you so far you can sit down and comfortably follow that plan, there's hardly any chance for you to get misled or make mistakes. Yeah, you will make mistakes, but so far you're following a plan, it always gets you back on track and you can keep following that plan to your end game. So yeah, develop a clear plan for your coding projects. Don't just say I feel like coding this today and start without actually planning this. What ends up happening most times is that you just end up leaving on or abandoning those projects and not coming back to them. So you always need to have a plan and you set your goals for your projects before you start. So when you set your plan and set your goals for your projects, you can work towards those goals and end up accomplishing your projects, finishing up your projects. Yeah. So seek support and mentorship. Join programming communities, forums, or local meetups where you can connect with experienced developers. A mentor can provide valuable guidance and encouragement. So you always need to seek mentor, like I said earlier. Be around people that are far more experienced than you are So whenever you have issues, whenever you're going through anything, they can always put you through and make your life easier basically when you're in programming. So other steps to overcome programming anxiety are you need to practice regularly. The more you code, the more confident you become. Dedicate time each day or week to practice and build your skills. Practice, like they say, practice makes perfect. You need to, as a developer, you need to keep practicing every day. The more you practice, the more familiar you get with your tools, and the better it is for you. So practice every day. And as a programmer, the moment you stop practicing, what happens is that you end up forgetting little things that are important in your code. So you end up forgetting syntaxes, you end up making silly mistakes when you don't practice. But if you keep practicing, basically just the stronger you get, the more you practice. You make less mistakes. You are less likely. The more you practice, you are less likely to feel like an imposter when you code. It feels more natural when you practice. So whenever, if you practice often, when you write code and when you start any project, you always feel confident in the fact that yes, I've done this before. I know how to do it. So yeah, as a programmer, you always need to practice, and it will help. Practicing helps with overcoming programming anxiety. So another method is learn to read error messages. Error messages are your friends. They provide information about what's wrong instead of getting frustrated. Learn to decipher them and use them as clues to fix issues. So yeah, as a programmer, you always need to know how to decrypt errors, because like I said, we all, as programmers, we all have bugs in our code. We all go through bugs in our code. You need to be able to read the errors that come from those bugs and be able to solve them. This will not be something that you easily do, but so far you practice regularly. Whenever you have errors, you'll be able to solve. When you have errors, be able to read those error messages and be able to find out the issues causing those errors when you are familiar with reading error messages. Another method is accept that bugs happen. Yeah, like I've been saying earlier, every developer encounters bugs. Debugging is a natural part of programming. Stay patient and methodical when identifying and fixing issues. Like I like I stated earlier, we all have bugs in our code, whether small bugs or very complex bugs. We all have it, and debugging is also one of the debugging, as annoying as it can be, is also one of the best parts of programming, because we all have this. When you debug it, when you have bugs in your code, and it's a very like very the bug is very, how will I put this? When you go through bugs in your code and bugs are very annoying, like you can't seem to get it, you end up you end up thinking, looking for solutions. In the process of looking for those solutions to solve those bugs, you end up becoming a better programmer. You are less likely, if it was a mistake of yours that caused those bugs, you are less likely to make those mistakes again moving forward, because you have learned how to solve those issues and you have learned how to mitigate those bugs. So yeah, accept that bugs happen, because every developer goes through bugs. It's how you handle the bug that matters, not the bugs entirely. So yeah, another important thing is also take breaks. Overworking can lead to burnout and increased anxiety. Regular breaks refresh your mind and help you return to coding with a clearer perspective. So yeah, take breaks whenever you're going through it, when you have issues, or you spent way too much time going solving trying to solve bugs, or you're just feeling down as a programmer, or maybe you're feeling down, or you're feeling unsure of yourself as a programmer. What you need to do, instead of you feeling too bad with yourself, you can just take a break, focus on something else. Maybe play games, talk to friends, relate with other people, try and get your mind off the issues, or the way you might be feeling at the moment. And maybe if it was actually a bug that you're experiencing, come back with a clear mind, with a clear mind and go through and solve those bugs. You don't need to rush through solving bugs. You need to just be patient, relax, have a clear mind, and at the end of the day, you end up solving those bugs. So yeah. So those are the ways to overcome programming anxiety. So moving on now. So tools and technologies. As these are for me, they obviously there are more tools to use, but my two favorite IDEs to use are VS Code and Remix. So VS Code is where I do my front end design. So that's where I code in React to build the front end application. And with Remix IDE is where I build the smart contracts. So I can let me see if I can show you an example. So so an example of VS Code. This is a sneak peek of a project that we'll check on later, but this is VS Code, and this is how Remix works. So I use Remix for my smart contract development. Let's see if I can get this. I can show some of the smart contracts that are here while it loads up, but basically this is Remix. I use it to write Solidity smart contracts, and then I use VS Code to work on the front end for the smart contract. So those are the two most important tools that I use. And other packages we can use are so popular Web3 development frameworks we can use are Hadat, which is what I use for my deployment. This is what I use to deploy contracts to either maybe testnet to mainnet or even to local hosts. Like that is local blockchain, so I can test my projects locally on my laptop. Then we have Ethers. Ethers is a package that allows interactions, basically blockchain interactions between the front end and the smart contract. So Ethers is like a middleman that allows you call functions from your front end and those functions to be return from the smart contract. So we use Ethers is what I call is basically what I call smart contract interactions. We use Ethers for smart contract interactions on the front end. So another kit is Rainbow Kit. So Rainbow Kit is I use Rainbow Kit basically for Wallet Connect. So this is how I connect wallets on my platform. Now, whenever I build projects, I use Rainbow Kit to connect users to my platform. And Next.js is a JavaScript framework I use to build the front end of my applications. So yeah, and Third Web is another platform that I can use to deploy smart contracts and also interact with those smart contracts. Uh, Heading in a few minutes, we'll go through Hadat, Ethers, Rainbow Kit, and Next.js. The project that will be deploying today will work with those four, so you can see those packages in action. So hands-on demonstration. So the name of the project we'll be checking on today is On-Chain Votes, which is a project I worked on earlier. Is allows online elections on the blockchain. So we it's a secure what this is a secure platform for voting that is deployed to a blockchain. So it's basically is a DApp for voting. So packages used are Next.js to build the front end, Material UI, which is MUI for front end components, RoboKit for Wallet Connect, and Ethers.js for smart contract and blockchain interactions, and WAGMI for smart also smart contract and blockchain interactions. So yeah, okay, so yeah, Solidity code. So hold on. So this over here is a project folder I'll be working on today. You can see it has a bunch of a bunch of files in it. Let's first of all let's go through the sorry, let's go through the GitHub code. So this is the GitHub of the project. Hold on, let's get this to work. So basically, this is the GitHub repo of the project. You can see all the files. You can come to this is my GitHub repo and this is the name of the project on Chain Votes. This is the URL in case you want to come and check up on the project and see how it works. But basically, this is the project. So, like I said, yeah, on-chain votes, secure and transparent voting made easy. So, so basically, these are the requirements for the project. You have a Node.js, MetaMask, Git, Hardhat. Then you can clone the repository, navigate to the project directly. These are instructions on how to deploy the project. So when you come to the repo, you scroll down a bit, you can follow the instructions on how to deploy the project. So you can follow through with me here. So now we'll be going through the smart contracts of the project. So there are three contracts basically. So there's the election contract, which is a smart contract, the voting contract, and the checker library, which is the library that requires that the smart contract requires to work. So yeah, let's see. So now,
And we
So,
like a peace.
want to mute, please.
okay, hello.
Mm. I think it's on its own end. Why can't I mute now? Okay.
Sorry, is there an issue? Okay. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, this is the project GitHub repo. So you can go to the GitHub repo and follow the instructions to be on the same page with me. So first of all, if after installing the project, follow it, clone the repository, navigate to the project directory, install dependencies, start up a local hardware network with npx hardware node. So let's do this. To start up a local development, I have this file. Okay, so I need to make, like I said, there are always errors. So we need to and let's get the local node running so we can interact with our application locally. So let's say ls. So what's happening here is I'm trying to navigate to the projects folder on my PC so we can and now run the local network. So npx hardhat node. So what this does is that it runs the local network on my laptop and thereby and also creates 20 demo wallets that we can use to perform transactions on on the platform that we use. So while this is running, let's go through the smart contract. So first we have the election smart contract. The election smart contract is what is used to create is what is used to create different elections. Sorry, excuse me. Is what we use to create different elections. Like I said, if you check the repo, just so if you in case you are following these all the smart contracts and the contracts folder here. so you can go through it. So we have the checker.sol, which is a library that is that is called in the voting contract and the election contract. So what this contract does is it allows you deploy elections on the blockchain. So you can see this function create election, collects the election name, allows you also basically. So if you were to this is the contract that runs that basically this is the contract that runs the platform. And if I go now, if I check here, which is the voting dot so this is the voting contract where users can come, users can vote, you can check the results for the elections, you can set election details, you can get details to your election, and also register voters, you can also unregister voters, view voters, and the like. So this contract is where all the basically all the voting on the platform takes place. The election contract creates the election and the voting contract allows users to vote. This checker.so library is is a library where some functions are added in just to make things a bit smoother for the platform to run. So we have like the get option index, which is let's see if I can show you how where it is called. So we have this valid option. How will I put it? Basically, a library is like a smart contract that doesn't have all the. It's like a contract, but it doesn't have all the functions that are in the contract. It's a bit limited compared to a smart contract. And I use the library here to make deployment a bit easier because, like I said earlier, developing on blockchain, you need to know the blockchain basics. You need to try and limit your code in a way that the code is easier to deploy. Like I said earlier, the blockchain is basically a network of nodes. So me deploying this smart contract now, or whenever anyone deploys things to the blockchain, we need to consider the size of those things, or the size of the applications, or rather the size of the contracts or the information that is deployed to the smart contract. We need to try and make sure that it is basically there's no waste of space on the smart contract because it is not just a server where it's not a centralized server. It is a network of nodes. So every node operator there has information that is related to the blockchain. So we want to make lives for those node operators easy. So we need to be considerate of the spaces that we use and also the size of the code that we use. So we use libraries to make things solidity libraries to make things a bit easier to deploy packages to the smart contract. So yeah, going back to if I scroll up a bit, you can see MPX had node rather. That's helped me create a bunch of dummy networks that I can use to interact with my smart contract. So what we'll be doing basically I just want to show you how how to deploy smart contracts with Hadat, how we'll be interacting with those smart contracts with Ethers, and also connecting user wallets with Wallet Connect with Wallet Connect kit. So basically, let's go back a bit to the slide. So like I said, we'll be using Hadat, Ethers, Rainbow Kit, Next.js. Well, rather, this package is Next.js, Material UI, Rainbow Kit, and Ethers. So basically, I'll show you now. Let's see how we will do contract deployment. So to deploy contracts, we need to write a script in Hadat. And let's see an example script in Hadat. If I go here, like I said, all this every code sample here is in the GitHub repo. is in the GitHub repo, so you can basically come here and find all the code here. So you, if you're in case you're feeling a bit left out, you can come back to the GitHub repo and get everything you need here. In case you have issues solving, if you have any issues with setting up the project, just follow the instructions written here, and you should be able to sort things out easily for yourself. So yeah, deploying the smart contract. To deploy smart contracts on hard hats, you need to write a deploy script. So this is an example of a deploy script. It's basically, so a deploy script is basically a function. This particular deploy script is basically a function where we use to deploy the script. So like normally if I was just deploying one single smart contract, like let's say for example just voting.so, I will need to, it will be a lot less, uh, this code will be a lot less. But because I'm dealing with a library which is the checker, like you can see const library cause await hre.ethers.get contract factory, the checker. By the way, this is another way of doing, this is another way of deploying, this is another older version of my deploy script. So if you want to be more updates with how things are done, you can check the Hadat website for more updated script. Because like we said earlier, when you're a developer, packages are always changing, packages are always getting updated. So you always need to stay in the loop. So if you are trying to run this script, if you're trying to run this project now, you might have some issues with this, but it shouldn't be something you shouldn't be able to solve. If so far you can just check through the hard art docs you have to submit. So yeah, back to the library. If you were to deploy smart contracts that have to do with libraries, you need to first deploy the library. Make sure the library has been deployed, log the library address, and after you have deployed the library, you then need to deploy the smart contract and code the information of the library in it. It can be a bit confusing, yeah, but as long as you learn it, so far you can learn it. If you can do it the first time, you can do it multiple times. So just keep that in mind if you're working in libraries. Which is, if you're a newbie, you might not necessarily need it, but keep in mind if you're working in libraries, you first need to deploy the library, then now use the library's address when deploying your smart contract. So, like I said, yeah, this is an example of the deploy script. If you want to look through it more, you can just come here to the script on the GitHub repo, and you should be able to sort it out yourself. So to deploy scripts in Hadat, you need to create your deploy script, which is this. It has already been created. You also need to set up your Hadat config file. So this is an example of a Hadat config file that you need. Like I said earlier, check the GitHub repo and check the Hadat docs, so you get to understand this. But you need two things to deploy: the config file should be there, and your deploy script should be there. So now what we want to do is use one of these wallet addresses to deploy our smart contract, and also interact with interact with the smart contract. So first, what we need to do is copy the private key of the wallet that we want, and import it into our MetaMask. So first we do this is I chose account 17. So I just need to go back to where the project is deployed. So I can come here. This is my MetaMask. And I load it up. Come here, import an account. So the private key that I copied, I just paste it here and import. So yeah, this is account number 13. So this is the account that we'll be using. One thing you also need to notice when using MetaMask is this. If you can see, this is .it. This is zero. This is zero it because I'm currently on the Ethereum mainnet network. But because I'm using local network on Hardhat, I need to scroll down to the Hardhat network, select that. As you can see, yes, this is test it. Now that I'm on the network that I need, this is test it that I can use to perform whatever transaction I can do. Because you have to remember, when you're dealing with blockchain applications, you need to pay gas fees, and this is what we use to pay those gas fees. This is what we use for our transaction. This local currency. So now we need to go to the go to the project itself. The project is already deployed. If you want to run the project, you need to run npm run dev. Sorry, the project is not yet deployed, but I want to. This project is running. The front end rather is running. So you use npm run dev to run. So if you come here, you can see the project thing. This is the project basically. This is on chain votes. The page. This is a page to create elections. Check your elections and all elections. So now let's deploy the project. To deploy the project on Hardhat, we need to write this npx Hardhat run scripts slash deploy JS, which is basically this the script that I wrote here. And now we need to state the network that we want to deploy the contract to. So that is network. Let's say let's localhost because we are currently running on localhost. So enter. Let's see what it should say. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake while spelling it. So yeah, let's see. So as you can see, it says compiled three Solidity files successfully and checker library deployed to an election deployed to. So if you come back to the deploy script, you can see why it is console logging this. You can see if you come here, it says console log checker library deployed to library contractor address. So which is basically this checker library deployed to the checker's address. And if you come scroll down a bit to where it is written election deployed to election address. So this is election deployed to election address. So basically the script has worked, and we are now aware that we are now sure that the script has been deployed. So if you come here to the local network running, you can look at it. It says contract deployed election, contract address, the transaction, the wallet address that deployed it, the value of currency required to deploy the value of the it we use to deploy the transaction, and the gas used. So like I said, these are the gas fees used. This is gas fee that is used to take care of to actually perform the transaction, and the block. This is the block number that the transaction has taken place. So yeah. Now let's go back to the project itself. So going back here, we are aware now that yes, we have created we have deployed the smart contract. Now we can interact with the project. So now we first need to connect my wallet, and this is it. So this button here is what it is. That is the rainbow kit. So that button, you see, it creates a pop-up. If you go back, which is the rainbow kit for wallet connect. So this is it. This is how we do the wallet connection. If I go down and click on localhost, it says confirm in wallet. Let's wait for it to load up the bit and you switch network. So now I've deployed what basically what has happened so far is that I've shown you the deploy scripts and we have deployed the contract. Now on the front end, we have now also connected my wallet, which is my MetaMask wallet here, to the application. So basically what happens now is now I can interact with the smart contract on the front end because I have connected my wallet. So basically what happens if you want to be sure, anytime I call functions, anytime I perform any function on the front end, it should appear here. So now let's create an election. So to create an election, we can name it, let's say, what name will we name the election? Let's just call it October election. So press enter. Cannot read properties of the font. Okay, it seems we are experiencing a bug here, which is, like I said earlier, bugs are expected to happen. So now we just need to find a way to debug the election. I think let's first go through our console log to check through the error and what might be causing the issue. So if you go through it, you can see. Hold on. Okay, lockdown failed. So it's running through the error. Saying cannot read properties undefined. But basically, if you look here, we can see the the election deployed here, but we are actually experiencing an issue here. So let's see if we can solve it. So, first of all, let's see what happens when I add voters. So the test voter can be, let's say, AK and maybe like to see what happens. Seems we might be experiencing some issues here. Oh wow. I would have loved to show you more of more on the project, but seems that we're experiencing issues here, and I don't think I can solve these bugs now. But don't fret. I think I tested the project earlier and it was working, but I don't honestly don't know why it is not working now. But basically, if you follow the GitHub repo, I should be able to make changes to the repo to maybe correct the code for future purposes. So whenever you're testing this out, you're not going to experience the same issue. So basically, what we have done is we have been able to import, we have been able to deploy the smart contract, import a wallet into our MetaMask, deploy the smart contract, and run the local network. Um, let's see, and you have also seen how the wallet connect, how you can also interact with get users to connect with your front end application with Rainbow Kit, uh, which is the wallet connect button here. So yeah, Um, let's see. Where do we proceed from here? So let's say, okay, now we have seen Rainbow Kit in action. Let's see. Let me show you ETAs in action. So if you go through the project folder, you can see the components, and you can also see the pages. If you the package, let's see. Yeah, this is some of the code that you can see. You can also check and you be able to see some of the code on GitHub. Let me see if I can direct you to where ETAs is being called. So this, for example, now this is how if you were to interact with a smart contract that is already deployed. This is basically a function for the smart contract. You can see where we have const contract equals to new etas dot contract, which is how you interact with the smart contract. What happens is that you create an instance of that smart contract that you have deployed. Create an instance, then you can now call functions on the smart contract. So to call my election function, which is a function on the smart contract, let's see if I can show you where it is on the smart contract. Um, let's see. So this is the election. Let's check the rating of so smart contract. No, I think it will be that function is in the election smart contract. So let's yeah. So this is the smart contract here. So what happens is this: if you want to interact with the smart contract, you use first. Basically, to even let me slow down a bit and explain this better. So even interact with the so when you are using ETAs to interact with the smart contract, you first need to define the smart contract. So what that means is this: you need to create a variable for the smart contract, which is this contract. Because in new ETAs or contract, you need the election contract, which if you look at here, which this is just the address where the smart contract was deployed to. You need the election ABI, which is the application binary interface of the election of the smart contract, which allows the front end to be able to interact with. It's basically it's human readable code that makes it easy for you to understand the smart contract and makes the front end easily understand the smart contract. And this is signer. The signer is the actual user. So when interacting with blockchain with ETHers, you can have the provider, which is a function used to query information on the smart contract, and the signer. The provider and signer are basically the same thing. The provider queries information but cannot write information, and the signer can write information. So what that means is this: if I was going to interact with any function on the front on my smart contract that just returns information. So let's say an example is a function that let's say this. An example is this: my elections. If you see, it's not a transaction function. It doesn't change data. It doesn't change state on the smart contract. It doesn't end up modifying anything. You use a provider for that. But if it's something that you need that needs modifying, so let's say something like this function, a create election function per se, you need to create new election. You need a signer. As you can see here, you need a signer to be able to perform those transactions. So basically, that's a bit of ETAs. You need to go through it, but ETAs is something that most Web3 developers use. So it's one of the most popular tools for Web3 development. So and it's not actually that difficult to access. So you can easily get things running and get it to work. So let's see. I honestly let's see what else. So these are basically the packages used to design the front end, the on-chain votes application, which is Next.js for the front end, Material UI for front end components. So Material UI is, let's say let's say what Material UI is. It allows you easily do components. So something like this, like all this whole slider that has next. This whole is a component that was created with Material UI. So that's it. Then we have Rainbow Kit, which is the wallet connect button. Then we have Ethers.js, which is what we use to interact with the blockchain, and also WAPMI, which is also used to interact with the blockchain. So moving on. So yeah, like I've said earlier, the election.so, which is this, the election.so, which is the election contract. It's a smart contract that it handles the creation of elections. The voting.so is a smart contract that is used for the election, where the voting actually takes place. And Solidity and Checkout also is a Solidity library that performs important functions in the voting contract. So yeah, those are the three main contracts that we use for that project. So what are your questions? So for the Q&A, I, if you go up a bit, if you have any questions, you might as well reach out to me on Twitter and ask those questions, because I don't think I can be able to answer questions now, but you can just reach out to me, ask your questions, and I'll be able to go through anything that might not be clear from this session. So yeah, so now going down a bit. So resources, there are a bunch of resources that you can use, but what I normally do is watch YouTube videos. There are a bunch of YouTube channels that can help you go through and explain blockchain development very well. So that's an example is It's the Blocks. There's DAP University. There's also Neda Dabates, which is who is a who was originally a front end developer, but now is now a Web3 developer. So he has very interesting content that can help you explain some really difficult concepts, and he can show you really interesting programming practices that you can use and learn from. There's also Patrick C. Alpha, which is who is Patrick Collins. You can check him out on YouTube. There are all these channels, check him out on YouTube so you can learn more and also improve. So projects and challenges for practice. You can, as a newbie Web3 developer, you can try testing out building your own token, which will help you understand ARC20 standards and the protocols to follow when building ARC20 tokens. You can create an NFT marketplace. You can build a decentralized finance application, which is DeFi. So an example of a DeFi uh, um, application is like an exchange. So let's say Uniswap and the likes. So it might not be the easiest project to start as a newbie, but like I said, start small. It doesn't have to be the most complex project. Just find something to do, start small, and break down the project into smaller tasks to make it easy for you. So you can also participate in hackathons. Hackathons are one of the best places to learn and as a developer. So what happens in hackathons? You get to participate with other developers, work on a project. You get to work on a project with other people, learn from the project, understand different understand practices, best practices while coding, and you get to work as a team. So why I like hackathons the most are because I call it a win-win-win situation, in the sense that's three wins. Yes, in the sense that one, you get to win because get to relate with other people in the development community, so you get to work with other Web3 developers. Two is that you make progress in whatever project you make or you work on. So far you work on a project during the hackathon, you can use it for your portfolio to also gain some experience. So that's another win. And the third win is if you get to win the hackathon. If you get to win hackathons, most hackathons offer cash prizes and also incentives or grants that can help make your projects better and also give you money. So that's why I call it a win-win-win situation. So hackathons are very important for you to work on as a newbie. You need to work on hackathons. You get to meet new people. You get to work with the community. You get to understand things that are happening better. So yeah, hackathons are a big win for everyone. So yeah, participate in hackathons. Another can also contribute to open source projects, which is also one of the fastest ways to learn how to code and be better at yourself at coding by contributing to the open source projects and also learn new programming languages. As a blockchain developer, you mostly make use of JavaScript for your front end and let's say Solidity if you are an EVM based blockchain developer. So that's if you work with blockchains that are built around Ethereum virtual machines. So most time you need to learn Solidity, which is a smart contract language that you'll be using, which is basically the smart contract, the language that I also use in making those smart contracts that I showed you earlier, which are the checker.so, voting.so, and election.so. You can also learn Rust. Rust is also another smart contract programming language that I can use to you can use to get to build smart contracts. So yeah. So basically that's it. If you have like I said earlier, if you have any questions, you can just reach out to me. I really hope I was able to share some knowledge with you guys. And like I said, any questions, reach out to me. So yeah, I think that's it for me. So I
Hey,
can stop
thank
sharing
you.
now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, so much, Akorede. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. That was like lots of value. I suppose I'm like, okay, wow. I was like, when you're sharing your project, trust me, I was trying to follow as much as I could, but it's quite a lot of resource. I mean, it took us through a journey from like beginner to, you know, thank you so much, really. Yeah, I'm going to drop your um, handles beneath this video, so in case anybody has a question, and of course, I look forward to having you maybe doing our boot camps and stuff. Your I like your approach of teaching. It's very calm and very soothing. So thank you very much for bringing out your time to share this with us,
Yeah.
and we look forward to like having you again here. And you sound like you really know your onions. So so
Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, the projects might be a bit difficult, but just go through the repo, follow the instructions. I feel like it'll be easy for you to understand. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, thank you for having me. This was fun.
thank you. Yeah, you sound like you're enjoying yourself. I'm like, okay. Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah.
It
All
was
right.
really interesting. Yeah, see you some other time, or even maybe at a Web3 event, or see you soon.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you
good
for having
night.
me. This was this was really nice to do. I hope to do more sessions, and I'll make sure the project is fully functioning, so we can all see how we work and how we're supposed to function. But yeah, thank you
It's
once
fine.
again, and I
Thank
hope
you.
everyone was able to learn something. So yeah, thank you and bye.
All right. Yeah. Bye.